Good morning. It's Tuesday, November 24th. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about today. Well, here's something. I live on the first floor of the building I am in. It's technically a garden unit, but because I'm set in a hill, parts of it are right at ground level. And the landlord has been talking about redoing our back deck since July. It's finally getting done. And the construction zone happens to be right in front of my desk. So I've been catching the gaze of the workers as they come by. So if I seem a little distracted, that's why. Yeah, I love my little row house that I live in, and I'm probably gonna move come March when my lease ends. Not sure where I'll move next. I have people ask me all the time, not all the time because I don't talk to people as much anymore. Quarantine life. I have some people ask me how long I'm going to stay in Cincinnati. The ones that know me well. Others just assume I'm here for good, which is also a possibility. I won't rule it out. Fix this, it's crooked, I think. But those who know me well know that I like an adventure, and I like mountains, and I like the ocean, water, nature. So Cincinnati's close to some really great hiking spots and relatively close to some great nature in general, like the Red River Gorge. It's not too far off from Appalachia. So I could head down to Asheville or any of the Carolinas, West Virginia, pretty much any time. It's pretty accessible. So, and it's a little bit of a hike. I'd like to kind of be in it, you know? And with the pandemic happening and with me just starting to construct my business and save some money, although it's not necessarily cheap living right here downtown, it's worth it. I wouldn't want to really live anywhere else in Cincinnati, honestly. Maybe the north side, but no. OTR is where it's at. Other areas can feel a little bit too suburby. There's some nicer areas, Hyde Park, Oakley, but those again are going to be just about as pricey as this is. About the same. Some of them more depending on where you are. Anyway, stay here, stay close to family, still be able to visit grandma every week. Stay close while there's still all of this social unrest with this pandemic and lockdowns and highlighted racial injustices and rapidly dynamic political environment, the circus that is the political environment, and the resulting angst of everyone. It makes sense to stay close to family and some of my older friends that are in Columbus, some of the new friends I've been making. So, stay here for now. What else can I tell you? I found a few new gray hairs this morning. There's got to be at least a dozen now, if not more. Just growing up. No doubt earned through wisdom and experience. These unicorn hairs. I wear them with honor. Although I may get more blonde highlights eventually. Maybe. I haven't decided. It's been nice the last few days to have a little bit more of a routine, to plan my day a little bit more. Build some constraints to give myself more freedom. It's easy to underestimate the psychological burden that having too many choices imposes. You know, that's what some of my research was in grad school, was how people with self-control are happier. Because, well, and the mechanism that we uncovered was that they make their decisions ahead of time before they enter a situation. They place their constraints on a situation, their boundaries, before they go into it, so they feel less moment-to-moment conflict. I should say that the mechanism we uncovered was less moment-to-moment conflict. Our hypothesis was that the decision was made ahead of time, and that's why. And I stick by that. At least that's what I'm experiencing. We fetishize freedom. I fetishize freedom. And I'm not saying complete blinders all the time. And there's something to Jocko Willink's catchphrase that discipline is freedom. That deciding, choosing from a place of alignment with your values, you know, up front, and sticking to those constraints, so long as that still feels in alignment with your higher self, so long as that just still feels authentic for you. Higher self, schmyer self, it's all you, it's all divine, it's all light. As long as it feels enlivening for you, in service of the choices you've made for yourself. I'm gonna backpedal here because it's feeling like bullshit coming out of my mouth. Oh, that's the beauty of just stream of consciousness recording. I ultimately believe in my heart of hearts that we can do no wrong. That literally every action that we take, no matter if it makes us, if we experience ourselves as suffering or not, whether it feels like it works or not, whether it's in service of our goals or not, is here to help us. Ultimately, it's part of our lesson to learn. And you know, that relates to my spirituality that I've developed over my lifetime. It's the perspective I choose to have. It allows for compassion and forgiveness and patience with all of my choices. So otherwise, it's easy for me to beat myself up, to be really tough on myself, to hold myself in contempt and not forgive myself for not complying with my goals and my self-control and not doing the right thing all the time. Embracing the diversity of experience has been one of the ultimately most liberating and compassionate things I've done for myself. It's helped me love myself in levels I haven't ever loved before. And I'm learning that it feels better in my body. It feels more enlivening when I put these constraints mindfully on my behavior. You know, that's what the brain does to help be more efficient. It creates shortcuts, which can sometimes, you know, leave out important information. Like if we had to think about all the steps involved with how to drive every time we got in a car, we wouldn't be able to drive. You know, our brain is good at creating shortcuts. If we took in every single bit of information of what's happening in our environment, we'd probably be paralyzed or overwhelmed completely. You ever see a baby's face? They're just looking around a room just completely in awe. Their brain hasn't created shortcuts yet. I think those shortcuts are worth examining so that we can live in a state of wonder and awe. And I also recognize their usefulness and how creating constraints that serve the person we want to become, the way we like to show up, that still honors and holds lovingly the repressed parts of ourselves, the dark, the shadows. My mind is like a nebula today. It just goes in circles. What am I saying? I'm saying constraints can be helpful when we don't use them as a club to beat ourselves with. When we don't allow them to become a voice of judgment and harshness. And they can still be helpful then, as long as we look at them with curiosity. That releases the emotional tension of it. I don't know, I have more questions than answers right now. That's perfectly fine. This is not the place for answers. This is a place for inquiry. The more I know, the more I realize I don't know. Trying to do more listening than talking these days. That's why speaking into this journal can sometimes feel clunky, because everything's still digesting. It's always going to be digesting. There's no finished product. The beauty is in accepting that uncertainty is a thing, that I'm not going to have control over everything. I'm drawn usually to the complex, in case that isn't obvious. And right now, simplicity and quiet and stillness is calling to me. That's all for today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I love you. See you later.